And welcome back to the Hot Lap. And we are asking, is the Singapore Grand Prix going to be Daniel Ricciardo's last ever race in Formula One? And is Liam Lawson the man that's going to be replacing him? So, this all began a few days ago, well, a couple of days ago, 17th of September. It's now the 19th at the time of recording, when this story broke on the mainstream media sites for Formula One. This is Planet F1 we're looking at. And it says Liam Lawson reveals he couldn't walk after shock. And that was getting a call from Helmut Marko. He said it came at the perfect time to save his racing career, and he was on the verge of having his Formula One future clarified because there was a deadline on Liam Lawson's option. Had Red Bull not given him a drive, he would have been free, as in Liam of the Lawson would have been free to get a drive elsewhere. Maybe Audi were calling, potentially. And he was part of the Red Bull's junior program in 2019. And as we know, when Danny Ricciardo last year hurt his hand at the Dutch Grand Prix in practice, Liam Lawson replaced him, did a really good job. And Red Bull is understood to have an option on his services until the middle of September, which it's now the middle of September, with one of its two Red Bull teams needed to offer him a race seat or release him to pursue other opportunities. Yes, and that's the reason why he's so happy. So it almost feels like he's guaranteed a seat. But then all these other things are starting to come in. So Daniel Ricciardo makes Singapore Grand Prix last race admission with clause windows open. And this is today. He's addressed rumours that he could be replaced by Liam Lawson at the VCARB after the Singapore Grand Prix. And let's have a click on that then, shall we? So it's slightly concerning. So having tied Yuki Tsunoda down in a new contract, they're set to, and that was at the Japanese driver. We don't know who his teammate's going to be. So Helmut Marko, the long-serving Red Bull advisor, confirmed at last weekend's Azerbaijan Grand Prix that a decision will be communicated ahead of next month's United States Grand Prix. So, after Singapore. Now, having impressed in a 5-race cameo while standing in for the injured Ricciardo, Liam Lawson, is quite the biscuit. Absolutely is. I like the guy. I think he's very good. Red Bull's option to promote Lawson is believed to expire this month. Yes, widespread rumours this week have indicated that Lawson could even, and this is why it's significant, even replace Ricciardo in time for the United States Grand Prix, with Marko previously voicing his enthusiasm for Lawson to race in some Grand Prix in this year, in F1 2024. Now, facing the media, Ricciardo confirmed that he's expecting a decision related to F1 2025 and believes he will remain with VCARB for the rest of the current season. He said, let's say my first expectation is about next year, so that's where I am at the moment. Obviously, I can't give too many details, but in terms of contract, our dates pretty much come into this window, so basically I do expect a yes or no for 2025. I'm aware that some talking speculation about the rest of the season, but for me at the moment, I'm unaware of. The decision I expect is for next year, but obviously crazy things have happened in sport. I'm also not going to stand here and be too boastful and too confident about staying put. It's got in brackets there for the rest of 2025. I believe I will be, but let's obviously see. And asking directly if Singapore would be his final race, he replied, I don't think so, but I also don't want to stand here and be the lawyer. So that's quite interesting. I mean, this is part of the interview. I'll play it.
Look, I know. I actually heard something. I won't be in the car for this race as well. So, but also that was already after probably Japan or something earlier this year.
That was earlier this year he's talking about.
I know how it is and how it works. And I knew there was always going to be some, let's say, dates and deadlines this year, whether it was like summer break or now post-Singapore. So that's post-Singapore is the next one. But yeah, honestly, it's still, so many things are up in the air, and yeah, let's see how the weekend goes. Obviously, I'm gonna give it all I can as I have, and there's always something to fight for. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay,
try and get.
We'll see. So, I mean, even Ricciardo unaware of talk to replace him at VCARB, see that even Motorsport.com are pretty much commenting on it. So, I like comparing drivers head to head, because this. I mean, let's get real let's get real for a second. I understand if they replace Daniel Ricciardo for Liam Lawson. Daniel Ricciardo has not impressed as much as we want to. Completely understand that. Liam Lawson looks like a good prospect. Could he be a Nick de Vries? Maybe, when it comes down to it. But he did. I don't think he did. I don't think he will be. I think he'll be very well. He might even show Tsunoda up. He was potentially doing it, wasn't he? teasing it, but, and this is the big issue, a couple of months ago, at the end of the beginning of August, we're going into the summer break, and there are big questions about Sergio Perez, who also races for Red Bull. And the argument I'd give is, as I said the other day when doing our race preview, if you're going to get rid of Daniel Ricciardo, who's been a lot better in terms of representing the team and close to Yuki Tsunoda and beating him at times, if you're going to get rid of, why haven't you got rid of Sergio Perez on merit? Because at that point, Ricciardo, for his team, has done a lot better than Sergio Perez has. I mean, you can make a very good case, almost a watertight case, really, that Sergio Perez is the reason McLaren are 20 points ahead in the Constructors' Championship. Thank you very much. Costing Red Bull a lot of money. And it's not only costing Red Bull a lot of money. Sergio Perez potentially, single-handedly potentially, is costing the engineers, the staff, the people that work at Red Bull and work very hard, they do, their bonus. I mean, Sergio Perez don't care about the money because, he's not poor. But Sergio Perez may well be costing the people at Red Bull a bonus, their bonus if Red Bull does not win the Constructors. And I could not see that happening with Daniel Ricciardo. At this point, I don't think, with Daniel Ricciardo in that Red Bull, I don't think they'll be 20 points ahead, as in McLaren. So Red Bull 20 points behind. I think it would be close. They still might lose the Constructors, but they'd definitely have more of a fighting chance, and they'd definitely have more of a lead. So when we compare now, and that's essentially what I wanted to have a quick chat to you about. So this is the F1 head-to-head comparison between Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo over the years. Now, bear in mind, Daniel Ricciardo drove for Red Bull 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 5 years. 5. Sergio Perez 2021, 22, 23, and currently 24. 4 years. So Ricciardo did get one extra year. Great. And Ricciardo was a rookie. Sergio Perez came in as a top-line driver. Well, one of the top drivers that hadn't won a championship at that point, let's say. And so Ricciardo was kind of like a rookie, coming in 2014, showed up Sebastian Vettel, and was quite close to Max Verstappen, as we shall see here. Yes, his powers may well have waned somewhat. So here's Sergio Perez. They both, Perez has scored more points. Here's the thing, Perez has had a better car than Daniel Ricciardo. Let's not forget the Red Bull was the best car in 2022, at least from the, for 2/3 of the season, and in 23 and the beginning of 2024, and in parts in 2021. Perez had a much better car than Ricciardo had. That's a fact. Yet he hasn't scored as many wins. Yes, Ricciardo did have that extra year. He's has scored more podiums. They've got the same amount of poles. In terms of Grand Prix, though, it's 274 for Perez, 256 for Daniel Ricciardo, because Daniel Ricciardo hasn't been around as long. This is not all this is not all their time at Red Bull. Can I make it bigger? Yeah, let's make it bigger, shall we? So this is the comparison then between Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo. Points, Perez has got more points. Wins, okay, Ricciardo's got 2 more wins in a less competitive Red Bull, and they've both got 1 win each outside of the Red Bull team. Ricciardo for McLaren, Perez for Racing Points. Okay, Perez leads on podiums. Once again, though, Perez has a better car. He had a better car in 21, 22, 23, and 24. How dominant was that car in 22, through most of 22, the Red Bull, and most of 2023? Ricciardo never had a dominant car. Never. Total Grand Prix, 5.23. That's by the by, really. So, head-to-head, Perez has probably beaten Ricciardo on more results there. So, here we go into here. This is Planet F1 gives us quite a few interesting stats for both for Red Bull, etc. But then they got a fresh concern for Daniel Ricciardo after VCARB stinker leaves their future in doubt. And this, Reddit here. So when we have a look at Reddit, we've got Sergio Perez qualifying. Now someone has taken 7 Grand Prix of this year out of the last 7 Grand Prix, and it said he's only had a positive record. This is Sergio Perez. He's only had a positive record. Oh, let's make it bigger. There we go. So Sergio Perez has only had a positive record against both Alpines and both Saubers, as in been better over the course of 7 Grand Prix early this year. Both Haas were disqualified in Monaco, but if we count that quali, they would also beat Perez. This is drinks beer daily, apparently. Hopefully he wasn't drinking when he made these stats up. But as you can see here, Perez against Verstappen, Perez against Norris, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, which you get against Piastri, against Russell. But Perez loses against Tsunoda 2-5 in qualifying. He loses against Ricciardo 2-5, and that's significant. In the better car, Red Bull has the better car still to this day in 2024, and over at least 7 races, 2-5. Sergio Perez, and that's because Sergio Perez was not being very good. Perez 3-4 to Stroll. He loses to Stroll. He loses to Albon. He loses to Alonso. He loses to Sargent. I mean, come on. Okay, equal with Hulkenberg, equal with Magnussen, and then beats Gasly, Ocon, Bottas, and Zhou. But still, it's quite fairly close. But he loses to Logan Sargent over that select 7 Grand Prix. I mean, and these are I'm just replying to the rumours. But if Sergio Perez keeps his job and Daniel Ricciardo doesn't, that is a massive travesty in Formula One. When you just look at those results, it's very funny, but not in a good way. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand. Why would you not get rid of Perez, but then get rid of Daniel Ricciardo? There's proof right there. And you can even say Perez, maybe it wasn't his fault in Baku, but he certainly could have done something about it. So, while I'm trying not to cough, what I think is we need to confirm that Sergio Perez so far is the reason why McLaren are 20 points ahead in the Constructors' Championship. You cannot blame Max for that. If Danny Ricciardo is to go to Liam Lawson, fair enough. But Red Bull really aren't paying fair, are they, at all? Their priorities are in a completely different position than I thought they'd be. Anyway, if you like what you see, please give us a subscribe. That would be great. And we will no doubt speak to you soon. Thank you very much and stay safe.